The final of the CONMEBOL Libertadores 2022 from the Estadio Monumental in Guayaquil, Ecuador. The banks of the estuary, but the football will be overflowing. Flamengo against Athletico Paranaense. It is another all-Brazilian affair. And there you see the Bay sneaking its way in throughout this beautiful city by this legendary stadium. It is the third time it will host a Libertadores final, but the first since they have made it a single match, and that puts all the pressure, all the excitement. You know what? Why not light a cigar? It's time to celebrate.
Absolutely. Flamengo business as usual, looking for the third title. Athletico, a chance to make history. Could Scolari be the difference?
Legends in the making. Flamengo, Athletico, next. The banners waved, the teams introduced, and this one about ready to get underway. What seems maybe not half of Brazil, but a significant portion have made their way to Ecuador for this crowning moment. Bill Shane and Thomas Rongen with you. It is the final of the Copa Libertadores. And as you can hear, it is the CONMEBOL anthem, but with a little Ecuadorian twist as the violins leading the fans.
What a spectacle. Beautiful, Phil. Biggest game in South America.
The national anthem of Brazil here in Guayaquil, Ecuador. By the way, the man in the middle right now, Patricio Lustau. This another Copa Lib final back in 2020. He was the man with the whistle in Palmeiras' victory over Santos. He also has quite a connection to both of these teams, refereeing one match each in their road to the final. His father, meanwhile, Juan Carlos, a very storied career as a referee. Remember back the shot heard round the world?
Oh, yes, I certainly do.
We'll talk about that in a moment. Take a look at these teams as they have a few shots already lined up. 4-4-2. De Rascaeta does like to pinch in. Felipe Luis, maybe not as much as he used to, but can still push up that left wing.
Yeah, and that's a great matchup to watch, by the way. David Luiz versus Victor Roque, who's very mobile and fast. That's advantage Athletico. But then you look at Barbosa and Pedro versus Henrique and Heleno. That's tough as well. Can they keep those 17 goals between them at bay? In midfield, Fernandinho, the former Manchester City stalwart, shielding that back four. Huge for him to clean up some things in midfield.
Diego Bonfá, Ezekiel Brailovsky also running the lines. Facundo Tejo, the fourth, and as Mauro Villano is the VAR referee. Couple of assistant VARs. Have we ever seen an offside called by VAR I'm just wondering. we have seen after the fact, but we'll see if that one happens here today. Meanwhile, the fans pouring into this stadium hours beforehand.
Yeah, there was a bit of a concern, but this looks like a full house, Phil. Obviously, mostly Flamengo and Athletico supporters, but I'm sure there's some locals that come out and say, why not? Some of the best in the world, some of them that go to the World Cup will be at this display.
And they love their football in Ecuador as well.
Yeah.
The two captains coming out. Thiago Heleno, the man mountain. Everton Ribeiro, the wily winger. And now he's got a few friends on that front line alongside de Rascaeta, one of the most powerful attacks in South America.
Yeah. And if you look at matchups, Phil, with Heleno and Henrique, both strong guys versus also a very strong and bigger Pedro, that should be a decent matchup. And the last match, important match they played actually, was in the Copa actually, and it over 2 legs, only 1-0. So if they can keep the scoreline low, Athletico has a chance, Phil.
Here is the way Paranaense will come out. Biggest club in Paraná. Sorry, Curitiba. Meanwhile, they show Vitor Roque and Vitinho both up front with Vitor Bueno behind. Expect to see Hugo Mora step into the hole a bit and Roque really lead that line.
Yeah.
But it's the two in the back, Pedro Henrique and Thiago Heleno. They'll have their work cut out for them, but they are ready for a good day's lifting.
Yeah, and in particular, there you see the two coaches. One, by the way, Dorival Jr. in his 3rd spell with this club, and the legend, 2002 World Cup winner, 2 Copa Libertadores on his line, Mr. Scolari. Oh, what a send-off that would be if he can get his team the first ever big prize.
Bento on one side, that was Santos on the other. Just seconds away from getting this final underway. The ball is rolling on the pristine turf. It is a large field, as you might be able to tell. About 118 yards long, 76 yards wide. So a little extra ground to defend and maybe a little more to take advantage of. Should play in favor of Flamengo, but you never know. Phil Shane alongside Thomas Rongen, 2 Brazilian powers, a traditional one in Flamengo, a new kid on the block in Paranaense, and they're dueling it out for all of the marbles in South America.
Yeah, and if you had to pick a favorite, it certainly is Flamengo. I mean, you talk about experience. The one on the ball right now, David Luiz, Felipe Luiz, the former Athletico guy on that left side on the ball right now, but both aging. Can Bueno, Vitinho, Vitor Roque take advantage of that on the counter? As you can see, they're dropping already in a bit of a shell. I would say semi-high pressure.
Long ball forward, trying to drop it down for de Rascaeta, but could not quite keep it in. Tried to put it out for a throw instead, but it will carry.
Yeah, if you can stretch that back 4, Phil, and let them drop a little bit deeper, then all of a sudden there's spaces underneath. So they're forcing that back 4 to be really cautious when they have a high line that they can get exposed that way as well. They drop, and then you can play underneath, obviously, with Ribeiro, Thiago Maia, João Gomes. All guys that are strong and comfortable in the ball.
David Luiz gets turned, an early shot that rolls wide, gives you an idea how hard it is to control the youngster.
Yeah, and he's so good, Phil. You know, he's not 6'1 or 6'2, but he's very strong, and he loves to feel David Luiz because he knows he can turn him, shift that body weight, turn the other side. So the closer, the better.
Ball poked free into the middle. Down goes Vitinho. Play on, says the ref. No argument from the winger. Ball out for Everton, and flying in Fernandinho. Well, Flamengo not the only one bringing back some club legends. And Fernandinho has been a big reason that Scolari has tightened this defense.
Yeah, you got really a block of 6 with Fernandinho and also Santana sitting in front of that back 4 field, and they're going to clean up everything. And both are very good passers out of that midfield number 6 position where they can vertically spring the counter.
David Luiz leading forward, the ex-Chelsea and Arsenal man, longtime legend on the Brazilian national team. And again, talked about Rodolfo Landim coming in with an open checkbook and an open mind, bringing back the players the likes of David and Felipe Luiz, Gabriel Barbosa and company. Athletico Paranaense in the white with the black, moving from left to right. Long ball from the captain Thiago Heleno. Felipe Luiz pops it into the middle. Sent right back the other way.
And a bit of an interesting exercise for both teams.
Roque ridden down, no whistle from the ref.
Because even in the Copa do Brasil, it was 2 legs. All the games they've played to this final have been 2 legs. And you approach home and away differently. This is a one-off with overtime, with penalties eventually. And I must say right now that Athletico is, you know what, they're probing a little bit more than I thought they would.
Flamengo back to David Luiz. Long ball down the line. Just skips away from Rodney and out.
Coutinho's so good in helping Abner on that left side. They defend out of a 4-5-1 field deep if they have to, and that's, you can see that right now.
Into the 18, but it skims across and out for the goal kick. Good look at Everton Ribeiro, a late bloomer. 33 years of age, out of Corinthians, spent some time at Paranaense's arch rival Curitiba. It was Cruzeiro where he burst onto the scene, but after a brief trip to the Middle East, back to Flamengo where he's closing in on 300 games. And now in the picture with Tite for the World Cup.
And the interesting part is he might have to fight it out with his teammate. You know, Gabigol. And the wealth of riches up front for TJ is important, but you cannot get around Pedro's current form, Phil, and current form will play a huge role, I think, in picking your 26 and eventually your best 11.
Ball sails. Felipe Luiz smashes it away. Picking it up on this near side, Kelvin. He likes to push forward.
Yep, both Abner and Kelvin like to, when they can, step into midfield, Phil, and then Fernandinho and Santana will sit. That when it turns over, they still have somebody protecting then the 2 center backs. But they are adventurous if they can maintain some possession.
Deflected forward. Kelvin getting a touch to it. You see both teams how high up they like their wingbacks to play.
Very. Anything new with the Brazilian wingbacks?
Out wide for Leo Pereira, former Orlando City man.
Yeah, amazing.
Now 26 years of age.
And athletic. So good fit for David Luiz, who's not the fastest anymore. So as a coach, you look at that, the brains, the ability for David Luiz to start the attack, and the athleticism of Leo Pereira.
Out wide. Everton finding a little pocket in the middle, but they continue to patrol the flank. Rodney could not catch up to it. Taken away. Played back for Abner, and he'll clear it away. Good read in the middle by Alex Santana. Vitor Bueno on that far flank. Fans, the majority of whom I'm not even sure they know they have a seat. They've been standing since they found their way into the stadium this morning. And now several hours later, still cheering on their teams. The Rascaeta, richest transfer inside of Brazil when he made the jump from Cruzeiro to Flamengo. First couple of seasons, a lot of people were wondering why. The last couple of seasons they've found out, especially this year.
Yeah, the Uruguayan 28-year-old is so good in setting up. Part of the success of Pedro and Barbosa is the Uruguayan in midfield.
Luis just banks it away. Third season since making the jump back from Atleti. Now 37 years of age. And you know what? I'm not sure Brazil has really found a replacement yet. If there is a weakness on Brazil, it's probably at the two fullback positions. So I guess all four that are out there today, it's kind of an audition by fire.
Yeah, I just said anything new with the wingbacks or fullbacks, and you're right. You're looking at this Brazil squad. It's that left fullback position, which is probably the most worrisome. Whoever thought that?
The days of Roberto Carlos and Marcelo in the rearview mirror. Someone else will pop up. They always seem to.
Yep.
Hey, there before that.
One of the X factors is set pieces.
Long throw into the area, flying in. Fernandinho still loose on the doorstep, pops free, and now Flamengo desperately slams it upfield.
And you got the likes of Enrique, Heleno, Santana, big boys. Why not? Long throws, corners, set pieces, and make it uncomfortable for Flamengo. And in tight games, set pieces, we know, Phil, can make a difference.
Always like to say they're the great equalizer.
Yeah.
Almost through. A little bump, shoulder to shoulder, says the ref, and it holds. But unable to track it down and out for the goal kick. Just a sign of what Rodney can do.
Yeah, and also a sign of play on. There's been four or five hard 50-50s that could have been called, but were not so. The referee saying, you know what? I'm not going to call anything cheap. You got to earn it.
Talked about, well, this is the second final for Patricio Lustau. A bit of a legacy. His father won. Carlos, one of the better Argentine refs in his day. Talked about how the fact he was the ref back in 1989 for that shot heard round the world when the U.S. beat Trinidad to return to the World Cup. He was also the ref for another infamous match. Do you remember that Brazil-Chile qualifier the same year where the Chilean goalkeeper pretended to be hurt by a flare and cut himself?
Yes.
He was the ref there. So I guess when it actually got to the World Cup, of course he'd be the referee in that spitting match between Rudi Völler and Frank Rijkaard.
Unbelievable.
So,
and somehow I feel I'm attached to that, you know. Germany, Netherlands, Paul Caligiuri scoring the goal heard around the world. Basically an amateur team that acquitted themselves well in 1990 in the World Cup for the U.S. They've only missed once since. High anticipation for this awkward World Cup during the winter, obviously.
Long ball forward. David Luiz doesn't hear the footsteps sneaking in, and the shot from Vitinho blocked on the doorstep by Santos.
Yeah, Vitinho loves to make those runs from the blind side coming in. Second time that David Luiz is somewhat caught, Phil, and again, they'll heap the pressure on with a long throw. Make it uncomfortable, Flamengo.
Long throw, edge of the six, bounces over, overhead volley, try, and then the side volley whipped up and over the crossbar. Looked like Santana just could not keep the shot down.
Yeah, we talked about, you know, the fullback Santana, which is a big body as well, and they attack balls in the 18-yard box with real aggression, Phil. And that means the balls are going to fall for them. And talk about falling for them, the two good chances so far have come from Athletico. And in particular, because of David Luiz right now is struggling with the pace and the strength of Vitinho and Vitor Roque.
Back over to Pereira. Not only Orlando City, actually Athletico Paranaense, as is the goalkeeper Santos. Those their debut clubs now in the big city with the bright lights. But will they light up the night again here in Guayaquil? As you talked about, Flamengo on paper heavy favorites, not just the Stars, but looking for their third trophy and their second in 3 years. They won it back in 2019, knocking off defending champions River Plate at another Estadio Monumental, that one just down the road in Lima.
Yeah. And if they drop deep, Phil, it's a 4-5-1 with Victor Roque just staying high and everybody dropping in, making it very hard, although there is some space to play underneath. A little surprised that Barbosa or Pedro have not dropped into those half spaces so they can play make.
Look how high David Luiz is and out wide. Leo Pereira, as you said, needs to be the security blanket back there. Sends it back against the grain and now slammed towards the front line. And the Rascaeta. Rodney fakes out, cuts in, low shot deflected. Down goes Bento to cover it up in the box.
And that's what Flamengo should really look at, the build obviously with patience, and then all of a sudden you got to find a front runner. It's almost up, back and through, and then you get the dribble penetration through lanes created by Pedro and Barbosa to manipulate both fullbacks, and that allows players with the ball to find some seams to attack.
Headed back into the midfield. Thiago Maia quietly getting the job done.
Yeah, that's all he has to do. Sit in, play from deep, break up plays as well.
Sounds like you're quite familiar with that.
Yes. Fullbacks get up high. He'll drop in between the two center backs. As you can see right now, he's dropping again.
Was that your manager just say, don't try and do anything?
Exactly.
Just pass it to someone else.
Yep.
Well, the Thiago Maia we've seen does have a bit of skill, as might be expected. Long ball out off that far flank for Abner, stolen away. De Rascaeta showing a bit of grit up to the front line. Everton, keep an eye on Pedro, that long lanky jog, but able to find the spaces. Felipe Luis tangled leg to leg. Play will continue. Now trying to sprint it through, but blocked away, and they will get some treatment. Felipe Luis dispossessed on the center line.
Yeah, and I think that's Victor Roque actually coming in from deep and really committing himself towards that ball. Same way as he attacks balls in the 80-yard box. He really helps you defensively. If you got a number 9 that's willing to get in there, mix it up a little bit, that makes it a lot easier if the block of 9 behind him, you know, to be able to keep this attacking Flamengo team. And there you see the off-balance shot of Vitinha. The uncomfortable throw-ins, 2 in a row. Oof, another great look for Santana. And I'm telling you, what Scolari has done is, you know what? First 15 minutes, we're actually going to be very proactive. We're going to make it uncomfortable, Flamengo, and the game will settle in. But a great start for Scolari's team.
Still no score. Flamengo and Athletico Paranaense in this Copa Libertadores final. Here, Victor Roque coming in. Could have been worse, although you see that trailing leg pop up. Probably just an awkward landing as you see the knee buckle, and he is reaching behind the knee. That's not a good sign. And at 37, he knows his body, but it looks like he's going to try and continue.
Those are two guys real committed to win the ball. Nothing negative or speculative on those two tackles. As you said, Felipe Luis will continue. Let's just see what happens, because he did take a knock, Phil. And do you test him? Do you go to Victor Bueno on that right side 1v1 and see what happens? That's ideally what you like to do.
That was a rhetorical question, right? No, there's no room for sympathy, empathy, no pathies at all when you're playing in a cup final. Everton sneaking in, just pokes it free of Fernandinho. Continues his run, looking to get out wide for Pedro, but pushed away for the throw.
Yeah, all over the field, Phil, you get a lot of 1v1s. Let's be real honest at the end of the day, and I must say, Athletico right now winning most of their little battles, not allowing Flamengo to find any kind of real rhythm. That's a plus. Everybody's
and Felipe
tight.
Luis.
Look at all these 1v1s all over the field. Yes.
He asks for a pause, pushes it out of play, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to continue. This is not the way he imagined this going. Came back, as we mentioned, in 2019, and in a storybook type of fashion helped them lift the Copa Libertadores. But it looks like he's going to have to watch this one from the sideline.
Yep. And the heartbreak last year when Flamengo also was in the final, another all-Brazilian final against Palmeiras. Remember, Barbosa scores, then Veiga comes back, and the 95th minute winner by Palmeiras. So Felipe Luis would love to stay on the pitch to get to host that trophy one more time. Now has to watch.
Ayrton Lucas coming in off the bench. Loanee from Spartak Moscow, 25 years of age. Ex-Fluminense, but they've forgiven him for now.
And throughout the year, these coaches have played a variety of players, including Lucas, but Felipe Luis in all the big games this season, Phil, has started. So a big loss. And also going to see how does Lucas off the bench this early without a warm-up is going to respond.
Over to the near side. Also see Thiago Maia has dropped back as they push their wing backs forward. Now David Luiz joins them in the foray, trying to sneak it through. Skips away from Thiago Heleno, but Pedro could not control. Put into touch by Kelvin. It'll be a throw. There's a good look at the substitute. Came up through Fluminense. Spent 4 years at Spartak Moscow and now back at Flamengo on loan. Flipped on by Pedro. Kelvin clears. Well, we always hear injuries are part of the game, Thomas. Ball comes in. Nice little layoff for Vitor Bueno, out wide for Roque. The Rock has something cooking. Blast from distance, but well wide of the net.
Yeah, it almost feels like through 20 minutes, every time the ball turns over and Athletico goes with real drive and passion and very direct towards goal. One save made already, one skied over the bar, now a shot from distance. Whereas Flamengo right now has not been able to get into the 18-yard box. So far, so good. Don't concede early, but still be proactive. That's Scolari's team talk.
Slammed away. Physical defense from Pedro Henrique.
Yep.
Not exactly what you'd expect from Felipao, but this is a very young Athletico Paranaense squad. Kind of remember a couple seasons ago before he got there. Crony part of the equation, but then moved on to Palmeiras, who almost made it back to defend for their third straight crown, only to fall short. Lifted off to this near side. Ayrton pushing it forward. Pedro pushing down the defender, and a free kick towards Athletico. Good look at Fernandinho. Of course, remember his near 300 games with Man City and his European run with Shakhtar, but he got his start way back when with Athletico.
And in terms of organization of that position, so important. And what he's done so well is he's made sure that the players around him are well organized, compact and tight, and be aggressive in the 50-50s. He's always that emotional leader, very crafty and smart on the ball.
Chance on the break, but flying back shoulder to shoulder, Alex Santana.
I love it, and it favors Flamengo of being the aggressor, really. Look at Felipe. Injury in a 50-50. Right now, Flamengo saying, hey, if there's no whistle, we're going to even get tighter on you. Every 50-50 is competed and favors right now Scolari's team.
Lifting it, Pereira, dumping it in. Whipped across, blocked away. Pedro Henrique. Gabigol looking to try and set up. There was Everton, who just found himself on the wrong side of his shoulder.
And again, a tremendous no call. First set piece, corner for Paranaense. Oh, sorry, for Flamengo, that is, obviously.
This will swing in towards Bento. Near post guarded well, and a poor delivery sent out of the area. Now a battle by Vitor Roque, and over the back, João Gomes.
And it's a bit of an indication how Athletico has really disrupted any kind of rhythm or flow. Even a set piece, the delivery just wasn't there. Couldn't get it over the first defender. The little things right now are falling, and for the right reasons, because they're very proactive right now. Atletico's way.
Disruptive game plan. What manager does that remind me of? Kind of funny when you think back to his earlier days at Grêmio and Palmeiras.
Yep.
Grizzly, grumpy. Now he's like a grandpa.
Listen, he hasn't lost that fire. He got sent off a few games ago.
Good point. Missed the semifinal.
You think at 74 he's going to sit on the bench? No, I'm not.
And you know what, though? Credit to him. The team responded.
Yeah. Again, he went to the technical director first and then threw himself in the fray. I'm 65, Phil. I don't want to go back in the fray. He loves this. He loves to be close to his boys, so to speak.
Although he did come out this past week and said he actually longs for the day. He said his grandson actually has season tickets for Grêmio. And he said he would love to be able to join him, but he can't right now. So he said, you know what? After this, maybe in a year or two, I will be able just to hang out in the stands and be a fan. But then the next thing you know, we'll probably be on the sideline managing him again.
Correct. Although I think this will be his final act.
What an act it has been.
Yeah.
Look at Dorival Jr. on the sideline. Well, Felipao paces nervously on the other. Sliding in, Ayrton Lucas, the substitute, stripped away by Fernandinho and out to midfield and reclaimed by Flamengo. Boot came up, head came down, all's fair, says the referee. Back to Bento, who blasts it to midfield. Reclaimed by Flamengo. Rodney dispossessed and a takedown 30 yards out, and our first card as Gabigol goes to turf.
And the back four in particular, Heleno and Henrique, have done a great job. But Henrique, he's tight enough. There's no need for him there to reach out and make contact, which then leads to a yellow card. And this early in the game, we're only 30 minutes in, Phil. Now he's going to play against Pedro and Barbosa with a little bit more caution, and that's just not part of his makeup, so to speak. So he's going to be really smart. And Heleno, the captain, is going to really guide him there, including Fernandinho.
Two 6'2" center backs. That is their game. Be physical, put a body on. But as you said, Pedro Henrique's got to be cautious, and that could open the door against the likes of Gabriel Barbosa and Pedro. A little extra effort from the fans on this one. Rascaeta looking on, Gabigol around, David Luiz as well. The Uruguayan launches it into the five-man wall. Headed back by Pereira, cleared away by Henrique. A player down. Actually, it looks like a head-to-head collision as they went for the bouncing ball.
It's just absolute commitment on both sides of the ball. Attacking those aerial surfaces are coming in there. Long ball in, the battle, the fight. Winning second balls, and Atletico's done a great job in keeping stuff alive around the 18-yard box. There again, Vitinho with the off-balance strike, and although David Luiz going thumbs up twice, he got caught. And Dorival Jr. knows it.
Look at Felipao. Passo Fundo, just in the northern part of Rio Grande do Sul. Head-to-head there.
Yeah. Heleno just absolutely competes with that height.
Thiago Maia, the ex-Lille man who received the brunt Patricio Lustau, now 47. He's coming towards the end of the line as well. Buenos Aires native.
Yeah, the captain.
Little blood there. A lot of blood there.
Yep. And the way he holds that, Phil, it's just either above the nose or the nose. And you could see on the replay the kind of contact was being made. Forehead, nose against the back of the head of, as you said, Thiago Maia with force.
So now missing their captain, and the other center back who's out there has a caution. The door might not be open, but it's unlocked.
Yeah, you go in a 4-4-1. You drop either Fernandinho and Santana next to Henrique and hope that Heleno can come back fairly quickly. And as you can see with Scolari, let's be compact. Let's get numbers behind the ball.
Patching him up on the sidelines.
There's just something heroic about that, Phil. That white around your head. You're a real man. You've arrived. I felt that way for the first time when I was bleeding, and I got that around my head and went, okay, all right, I'm a real soccer player.
Whipped across. Out comes Bento. Of course, the memories of...
Not a real soccer player. I'm a real defender, because I was never a real soccer player. I tried to, but at least I was proud of my scars. And there he is. Whoa, look at that, Phil.
Hey, it's even sponsored now.
He'll jump in the pool.
Of course, thinking about that going back to Terry Butcher. What was it, the 1990 World Cup?
God.
Blood still pouring through the bandages and down his shirt. And that was back in the days where they would let you continue to play. That might be another reason for the cap, so the blood doesn't peek out, as well as the extra pressure.
Yeah, smart.
Now back out wide. Abner deflected to the top of the 18. Fernandinho. Kelvin, he's dangerous on this near side, but gets tangled and now swept away as Fernandinho lets a little aggression go.
Now, when the game gets a little helter-skelter, even in that attacking third for Athletico, they're still keeping stuff alive and really are making it difficult for that back four of Flamengo with ease to be able to defend because of their real aggressive posture. Look at the running right there. But yeah, that's a 17-year-old Vitor Roque, but that's inspirational for the rest of the team. And then you got your captain with a cap on as well and a bandage. Let's do it for whomever. It's not destined, but Flamengo.
Chance opens up. Maya. Rascaeta dragging Abner into the middle and just pushed into the side netting for the corner kick.
And this is a team that can score in bunches, Phil. Ran away with Vela Sarfield, 6-1 aggregate, by the way. So they can hammer. And that was, by the way, in one game a hat-trick for Pedro as well. So they can hurt you.
By the way, both
anytime.
Teams also in the running in the Brasiliense. Brasileiro make that 61 points for Flamengo in third. Athletico Paranaense at 51. Palmeiras running away with it right now. But maybe a chance for second. And of course, all of that slots into next year's Libertadores. Of course, then again, you win and you get an instant ticket. Ball poked away. Appeals for the deflection. Barbosa might not agree, but it looks like a goal kick upcoming. The two big men.
Yeah, that's Santana and Henrique just talking about the responsibilities and
right on the brow.
Yeah.
Which can affect if he does go up for a header, because again, as you point out, if it's above the nose itself, but above the eye, could drip into the eye. Let's find out how good the trainers were. Ball out on the far flank, a throw in for Paranaense. It's the third Copa Libertadores final here, although the first two were back when Barcelona of Guayaquil was competing back in the days of the home and away, although it was the Vuelta in both, the return leg. So it will be the third time that a trophy is handed out. In 1990, they fell against Olimpia of Paraguay. In 98, against Vasco da Gama of Brazil. Do you like the one-match final as opposed to the home legs?
Yes, I do.
Poked away from Gabigol. And why would that be? Hold on to that thought. Burst of speed from the youngster Vitor Roque, trying to catch up to the bounce. And whistled for the push. I mean, the argument for the home and away is that each fan's home team, home fans get to see it.
Yeah, and I get that as well. You know, I certainly do get that. And in particular, we're playing for the fans. These entertainers do play for the fans. I think I overcoached in two legs. Be it in the World Cup with my under-20s, be it in the playoffs with DC United. And it took away from the strength of my team that was always a beautiful attacking team. I thought on the road, let's keep it 0-0. and that's not what the fans want to see. So you go somewhere, and I think a one-off, there's just more drama. There's more at stake. And yes, we won't see a high-scoring affair probably.
Same point. It looks like the fans got a map.
They certainly did.
Rascaeta trying to sneak it through, deflected away, and now slammed up by Hugo Mora. Made the jump from Flamengo in the offseason, and now slams into the back of one of his old teammates.
Yeah, and Scolari is not happy with his own player, obviously, there. Yeah, you can say all ball, but that's a foul. From behind, the push, also the kick.
Smart by the Uruguayan, just sneaks his body in front, and now a very dangerous free kick.
And also test, as you said, Heleno with that cap and the injury. Knowing him, he'll attack anything that will come in. And the advantage to me in terms of height and the way they attack balls on both sides, both boxes, goes to Athletico. Key is just get it over that first player.
Two in the wall. He does. Drops it right at the 6. Pedro Henrique, the only man there. Looks like Flamengo forgot to attack.
Yeah. They're all looking at each other, too. Everybody crashed at near post, Phil.
Into the middle. Now swept away by Henrique again. Everton Ribeiro will track it down. Pereira dropping it in, swept back across by the substitute Ayrton Lucas.
Now, I must say, Lucas very, very aggressive in his runs making forward, whereas Felipe Luis wants to build with the ball at his feet. This guy just wants to get behind people. It really puts a lot of pressure.
Loose inside, a little flick by Pedro, but Rascaeta was not quite ready for it.
Yeah, right now that very, very fearsome front four kept at bay. I got to say, the game plan and the execution of Scolari's men has been very good. Denying entry balls, being tied in the 50-50s, winning most of their battles. And right now, again, through 40, not giving them a team that can score goals a sniff whatsoever.
Delicate little touch forward. Anything but delicate on that challenge.
Yeah, and these are forwards taking out defenders, Phil. Shows you the commitment, the total team commitment of a Scolari team. Coutinho's brave, Bueno's brave, Hugo Mora as well. And the 17-year-old phenom. Very disruptive force on both sides of the ball.
A lot of rotation for both teams leading into this from their Serie A encounters midweek. Flamengo knocking off Santos 3-2. Pedro did play, though, and found the net. But Rascaeta with the game winner late off the bench. Meanwhile, Athletico Paranaense fell against Palmeiras. All trying to preserve their starters for today. Ball stripped away. Kelvin maybe a little too tricky. João Gomes, 21-year-old homegrown midfielder, getting the start here today. They have the legend Diego on the bench. Everton, Cebollita, Arturo Vidal as well. Diego Alves also one of those that was brought back, and he's their domestic keeper at times, but Santos has looked good. Everton held, and another card coming here for the cynical foul.
Yeah, anytime they feel their numbers down or even numbers, they do foul in good spots and are willing to take the yellow, obviously. Wiley Scolari have taught his players well. 2 yellows right now. Most concerning, obviously, is to your center back.
And again, you talk about how Scolari has built this team together. Pedro cutting and pushing, Kelvin giving chase. Hard challenge. Now what color will this be? Ayrton Lucas, and it's a yellow. And another yellow to Pedro Henrique, and he is gone.
We just talked about that, Phil. Henrique, that doesn't know any other gear than 4th gear, goes reckless in this tackle. Now, I think it's a very soft yellow. Plays the ball hard, gets some contact, but to me that's a 50-50 between 2 players that are trying to compete for a loose ball.
And again,
very harsh.
Because it is a yellow, VAR cannot review it. The red coming because of the 2nd yellow. Take a look here. Nice work again by Pedro. And Pedro Henrique just a half step late.
Yeah.
And outside the box, if he was playing with a clean sheet, you could forgive him, but he's got to be smarter when he's carrying a caution.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, Lucas has made a huge difference, Phil. The ability to go places without the ball, that's your left fullback, forcing Henrique in that situation, and he leaves his feet and he commits, and Lucas just pokes the ball away, and there's only contact with that lower body, the legs of Lucas. And seeing this again, Phil, it is a yellow, unfortunately, which will impact this game tremendously going forward.
The 2 Timao players going over that one. Everton Ribeiro not giving Pedro Henrique any rush. There you see a change as Mateo's coming off the bench. They're going to have to shore things up.
Yep, which means you got to sacrifice, you know, anybody in your front 3 or 4. Really interesting to see who it will be.
Vitor Bueno, Vitinho perhaps.
Yep.
Maybe you pull Alex Santana from the midfield since he's got a caution.
I mean, based on that, Phil, maybe you're right, but I don't think that, in retrospect, I think based on the outcome of the game, you might say, Phil, that's actually not a bad choice.
You already have Fernandinho and Hugo Mora.
Yeah, but I probably would not do that. I unfortunately will sacrifice Vitinho, Bueno, or Hugo.
You take all the joy out of the game.
I know. I've been there and done that.
You're too pragmatic. But again, the other point to consider is we've still got 45, maybe even 75 minutes left if this match stays level. 4 minutes of added time in this opening stanza. Free kick just outside the area.
What a good opportunity right now, just before the half, for Flamengo, who's been kept at bay really in that final third, to get a good ball in and find a David Luiz, for instance, or Leo Pereira.
David Luiz, Fernandinho exchanging memories. Let's see if they can create any here. But Ascayeta leaves it. Everton sends it long back into the middle. Luiz for Fernandinho's block. Collision just outside the area. Ball whipped wide, and it doesn't miss by much. Vitor Bueno not happy with that collision, as João Gomes couldn't put the brakes on. Things are getting hot and heavy here.
Yeah, and an important phase here, Phil, in terms of trying to send the referee away with a little bit of a feeling that, hey, in the second half, you got to give us something as well.
Thiago Maia barking at the ref.
Yep.
João Gomes apologizing, trying to get back on the good side.
And I'm sure that there's the ball to the far post of David Luiz.
One curled quite a distance, Gomes. And I think you could see why João Gomes was upset. I mean, it doesn't seem like much, but Bueno cut in front of him as he's in the air. But all's fair now in the aftermath, and
every inch is contested by Athletico. And one of the reasons why that ball goes haywire, because he knows something is coming, so he's pulling the trigger just a little bit quicker to get out of the way of a potential car crash.
By the way, temperature in the lower 80s, so a bit on the warmer side, which will take even more out of Athletico. Will this be a battle of endurance? Will Felipao stick out the fangs but pull back the claws?
Interesting, Phil. Has the sub been made, or does...
Still not yet.
So he's trying to get into halftime at 0-0 and then do what you and I just do, role play. Should it be Santana? Should it be whatever? And talk to his assistant coaches in a calmer kind of atmosphere, because he's caught up in the emotion of the red card right now. That's, if he can hang on, smart probably, and also get you input of 3 or 4 of your veteran players. That's where the wily Scolari comes in.
And again, you do train for situations like this. Nice by Everton. Gets it back into the middle. And Gabi on the goal. They rolled the dice and it comes up snake eyes. Flamengo takes advantage and takes the lead.
And they certainly do, Phil. It's just great combination play on that right side, and then sucking that defense in, and a defense without a central center back. It's just Heleno right now, and all of a sudden the weak side, there's all that space. Great entry ball, brilliant finish by Barbosa with that left foot. He's already saying, but the interaction right there, the early ball, it's close, but I think he's on, Phil.
Thiago Heleno, where was his shoulder? Where was Gabriel's knee? They will look at this one. I think it might be close, but is it close enough? Meanwhile, you saw big Mateus Felipe, the backup center back on the sideline, did not get on the field, and Gabigol took advantage, but will it stand?
Yeah, I just said, wily move by Scolari to wait and hope to get into halftime 0-0. He's going to rue that opportunity, and I'm telling you, correctly so. There should be some criticism why he didn't make the change, and now they're going to see if it's offsides, yes or no, as you pointed out, Phil.
I think they're going to ask Lustau to take a look himself. Well, let's see. Nope, it's going to stand. We'll take another look at the replay. It looked to be very close, but Flamengo has taken the lead on the goal from Gabigol, his 6th of the tournament. Again, could not score in Europe, but back in South America, he can't stop scoring.
Yeah, and the ball from Everton Ribeiro, Phil, an early ball. We always taught our players to get end line, but this is very hard to defend. Impossible for a goalkeeper to come between 6 and 12. And that's done an easy tap in as well. Good execution. And again, they only need one chance, this prolific scoring team, to put you on your heels.
Goals can tend to come in bunches for this Flamengo side. 4-0 over Belis, 7-1 over Tolima, 3-0 over Católica. Looking for an equalizer. It will carry. We've still got, well, they've added a minute, and now we're actually into the 52nd minute. Ball looking for the corner, but Kelvin's shot sails high. Kelvin, the player who seemed to lose Gabriel Barbosa, who found the opening, and for Felipao, a man noted for his defensive genius, is going to have to find to make a goal. Short-handed and trailing. Flamengo 1, Athletico Paranaense 0. 1-0 the score. Flamengo in front. Perhaps even more important is Athletico Paranaense a man down. Possession already in favor of Mengao. Shots just in favor of Paranaense, but the only one that went in goes the way of Flamengo. Passing accuracy also needs to improve. Felipao, a man noted for his defensive intensity, is going to have to chase this game in the second half. 1-0. Well, there, the man who probably should have been on the field in the final moments, Matias Felipe, checking in for Alex Santana. So I guess in some ways we're both right. They should have gotten the defender in there, and I was thinking again with Santana and a caution and already 2 other holding mids. And now that they have given up a goal, they need to chase the game a bit more. So Bueno, Vitinho, and Roque stay out there.
You miss your calling, Phil Shane. Should have been a coach. You called that right away. Well done. Well done.
If I was a coach, I would have been an announcer in no time. Athletico Paranaense in white from the right to the left. A pep in the step of the red and black as Flamengo taking the lead just before the break. Phil Shane, Thomas Rongen with you. If it was just a goal, that would be one thing, but it followed an ejection to the young center back Pedro Enrique after the other center back Thiago Heleno was bruised. So Paranaense down a goal, down a man, and chasing the game, but Luis Felipe Scolari is the man on the sideline, and he's already won 2 of these. Thomas, as the ball snapped away to the midfield, you want to shore up the defense against a dangerous Flamengo, but you need to get a goal.
And that's interesting. While they're going on transition right now, something, if you start pressing, Phil, might happen more and more, because sooner or later, I don't think they will do it in the first 15 minutes. They need to throw caution to the wind, and I'm telling you, the wily veteran, the great coach, huge questions will be asked why he did not make that change immediately, tried to get into halftime and then make that decision. Really backfired on Scolari, and now his team is up against it.
Well, we talked about him being on the sideline. We wondered whether he was already out there. He wasn't. And Kelvin, the player who was beaten, ball lofted in, an easy grab. Kelvin, the player who was beaten on the play that led to the red card, was also the one that was beaten by Gabriel Barbosa to the back post. Now he's got a little protection. David Luiz seems to have landed awkwardly. Felipe Luis already had to be replaced in the first half with an injury, and somewhat ironically, if not coincidentally, the man who replaced him, Ayrton Lucas, might have been one of the most influential on the pitch in the first half. He drew the red card and was dangerous every step of the way.
No doubt. David Luiz gets stepped on a little bit. That hurts, but play on. And Lucas 3 times was able to get behind that back 4, that left side field. The last one, Enrique, the timing of his slide tackle. Why even leave your feet there if you're on a yellow card already? Poor decision making by Enrique. It's going to cost his team maybe, but give Lucas a lot of credit. Willing to go there without the ball. Very explosive. Whereas Luis Felipe would like to, Luis, sorry, does that always in combination play. So he doesn't really hurt you, although he's a great passer out of the middle third.
Well, Felipe Luis would have been nowhere near that ball, most likely.
True.
So it was the aggression of the substitute that led. And it was the caution, perhaps, for Felipe Scolari that cost him, electing to wait to try and get to the half.
Yeah.
So as we take a look here, you see a much more defensive, patient look. They want to save their energy for when they have the ball.
4-4-1, basically.
Vitor Roque, the youngster up front.
And still the dynamic trio underneath. I like that. He took Santana out.
Everton out wide, back into the middle for Gabigol, flipped on by Pedro. Kept alive on this near side. Rodney blasting it away off Vitinho and out for the corner.
in a tall order, because you're playing against one of the best in the world, Flamengo, over the last few years, dominant in Brazil, known worldwide, one of the biggest clubs from Rio, obviously, that have some very good technical players that can kill you or pass you to death, so to speak. They're up against it, but at 1-0, you never know, Phil.
This will swing in towards Bento. Driven along, punched away by the Paranaense keeper. One back outside the box, but the ball squirts off Gomez's boot and wide.
Yeah, second time he found that second phase attack, kept it alive with a shot of distance. This time uncontested, couldn't get it at target.
Well, one of the most popular teams in all of
football.
Brazil.
Yeah.
Maybe more popular outside of Brazil than in. Corinthians tends to be the big boys.
They're the biggest of the four in Rio. Am I right in that?
I would say, of the Rio bunch, yes.
The Rubo Negro, as we call him, Phil. Come on.
Well, same point. You keep winning and the popularity will grow, and they are near the top of the heap. Palmeiras had forced their way up, another one of those powers from Sao Paulo, but ousted in the build-up as they look for their third straight crown.
And the scary thing, Phil, is they almost are close to 3 goals for per game, and have only conceded 8. Their front two, by the way, have more goals than Athletico has scored.
Dummied by Rascaeta, coming away with it. Fernandinho, 37-year-old field marshal, pushing it wide for Vitor Roque, but Leo Pereira, the ex-Lion, able to grab it. Leo the Lion. Maybe should have kept him. Into the area, Gabigol for a second, but blocked by Bento.
Bento did well there by standing up, but you can see cracks already appearing. You got an injured captain out there that's got to be suffering, Phil, in terms of pain and not being comfortable of heading balls, still leading that back four. And they try to squeeze a little bit higher, Phil. It's almost impossible to bridge, as you said, on a big field, almost 120 by 76, you said. That's a lot of ground to cover.
It doesn't sound like much.
With
maybe
a man down.
3 yards longer, a couple yards
huge,
wider.
Huge.
Everton, again with the free man. He's dropped into a more of a playmaker position behind the Rascaeta, as Rodney and Gabigol marauding down this near flank. The former Avaí man isolated, back to Barbosa. Tries to switch, tracking it down Pedro. Long legs keep it in. Now against Kelvin. Good work by the 25-year-old. Maybe the South American Player of the Year, and you know what? Even if he is quiet in this match, 12 goals to get here on the champion team. Probably not destined to stick around much longer. He had a erstwhile trip to Fiorentina, but I think there will be plenty of suitors to bring him back. Rodney cutting back. Left-footed chip. Again, Pedro with the touch. Pipping in Mateus Felipe to steal it away. Now a tangle. Roque trying to get there, but impeded by Pereira again, allowing David Luiz to pick it up. De Rascaeta from 30. Pedro, but sending it high off the deflection and out for the corner.
Yeah, you expect the total dominance, obviously. The body language of Victor Roque shows right now. He's totally on an island, Phil, whereas on the other side you can see right now opening starting to appear, and Barbosa and Pedro right now very dynamic, whereas the other side Victor Roque is on an island by himself, and he needs to be good, but he only will be good with service. Will that come? Can he find one moment?
Oh, into the middle, headed high. David Terans is available on the bench, and he's actually scored 9 goals in the Brazilian championship. As you said, sooner or later he's got to get out there.
Yep.
Ball low, headed clear. They also have Pablo, who I guess in some ways is their version of Pedro. Smart player, a little deeper in the midfield, but does tend to pop up in the box at the right time.
Yeah, those are your two real options, I think, off the bench later in this game. Keeping it 1-0, obviously, to see if he can get something, fresher legs and guys that can score goals, Phil, no doubt.
Thomas Cuello as well, perhaps, to play a bit of a provider. So the cupboards are not bare, but then you look at the bench for Flamengo with the likes of Arturo Vidal and Diego and the other Everton. Out wide from Fernandinho, cutting the angle. Kelvin loves to dribble. He'll have to settle for the corner.
And those might be few occasions. They had a long throw already early in this first half, Phil, for some of the big boys. And Mateus Felipe, that came in as another big boy as well. So these might be the opportunities for Athletico to get back in this game.
Outswinger, Santos drops. Thiago Heleno got a touch to it. Out for Everton. Gabigol on the break, but he's got three defenders back. Takes it down the line and earns the throw in.
Yeah, good outswinger, attacked actually by two Athletico players. And arms were up a little bit, Phil, while they were going in transition the other way. Now you can see it again. Good ball in, hard, strong. Oh, that's your captain, who actually thought he was pushed from behind, but it was his teammate,
Mateus Felipe, who
yes,
actually threw him off balance.
Yeah.
And we've seen Thiago Heleno score hitters like that. Filipao saw he was pushed, but at the moment doesn't know who did the pushing. 10 minutes into the second half. Again, should Athletico tie this up, there would be extra time. So potentially 30 more minutes, and then penalties would follow to determine a victor. But at the moment, it is Flamengo.
They're just going to probe, Phil.
Stripped away nicely. Ball rattles away. And now a couple of changes. Forgot to mention the legacy Canobio, who is also available and had been a starter earlier. The young Uruguayan, son of Osvaldo. Fresh legs. Romulo also checking in, and he has also been a very promising player. Maybe not quite the headlines of Vitor Roque, but has scored some key goals to get here, especially earlier on in the group stage. Canobio has gone to his more familiar right side. Romulo going over towards the left. So some fresh legs on the flanks. Well, we've talked about the tactics that Scolari has to do. What about Dorival in his bright yellow jersey on the sideline? Is he taking this too cautious, taking it too easy?
No, I don't think so, Phil. The key is that Athletico has not really created anything, so there's really no need this early in the second half. You start thinking about that around the 70th minute. Is it Arturo Vidal to kill the game? I don't think you want to do that. You got to be proactive, and I would almost say go for that second goal. That's the mentality you need to have, instead of saying 1-0 is enough, and I think he will do that.
Maya with a little bulge into the back of Fernandinho.
I was always super aggressive, 1-0 up, and in particular when the team is down, you want to go for the kill, Phil, and almost play with a little bit more risk than what they're doing right now, and I get it. We keep the 0, we'll win this thing. But you also keep a team hanging around.
Into the area, turning shot, deflected away by Gomes. Everton with the push as we approach the hour. Ayrton Lucas had to come in due to injury early on for Flamengo. They still have 4 wild cards in their hand. The red card substitution of Mateus Felipe on the back line, and now fresh legs out wide. Still 2 more jokers in Felipeau's deck. Everton threads it through the middle. Gabigol tracks it down. Mateus a little clip on the heels. No sympathy from the ref. Wide for Drascaeta. Keeps it alive. Ayrton a lot more hesitant to push forward here in the second. Another early ball from the flanks from Rodney. This one blocked by Thiago Heleno. Gabriel throwing his body into the defense there. Dorival screaming on the sidelines. Only took over this team back in June when they were struggling a little under Paulo Sousa. This is 3rd time in charge of Flamengo. And wouldn't be surprised if he didn't think there was going to be, because right after his 2nd stint, found out he was suffering from prostate cancer. Ball into the middle. Pedro controls, turn, shot, but high. First real chance for the Golden Boot.
Yeah, and what a tremendous job he's done after Paulo Sousa also did a great job, obviously. 11 wins, 1 draw in the Copa Lib. Unbeaten in 8 across all competitions. This is a team that's clicking on all cylinders.
Whipped in Drascaeta. Slammed away from Pereira. Dorival beat cancer surgery back a couple of years back, and now back on the sidelines. When the opening at Flamengo came, he said yes. Won a Copa do Brasil with this club and looking for more. 6-time state champion, including Inter, Santos, and Paranaense's arch rival Curitiba.
Yeah, as we see in Brazil, I mean, a well-traveled guy, you know, without a doubt. His first stint was really in 12-13 for Flamengo.
Again, in Brazil, managers, what's the saying? You keep your suitcase packed by the door. They don't even have time for a suitcase. They would go with backpacks, I think.
It's great when you push the button that says career, and I got to scroll literally down 20 clubs. Amazing.
And, hey, Felipau's up there too.
Yeah.
What's the line? You can't change 11 players. Rodney dispossessed. Good look at Dorival. Came over from Ceará when the job came open. Before that, he was actually in charge of this Paranaense squad. Deflected away, scrambling over in time.
Yeah, not too long ago, Phil. 1920, I thought it was.
That was right after he recovered from the prostate surgery.
Great story.
Cut to the inside. With the extra space, Pedro starting to find a few openings.
Yeah, and talking about Dorival, it's almost like Pedro's really found his groove on their 3rd time in charge, but a guy, Dorival, is giving him a lot of confidence and knocking on the door for TJ to say, I belong there. I think he does, because his frame is so much different than the other forwards. Firmino, obviously, Jesus, Neymar, Anthony.
Mora with the block, outlet ball, but David Luiz in good position.
He adds something different as a starter off the bench, I think, if you chase a game, due to his height and great instincts around the 18-yard box. And as you can see, they're slowing this thing down in the initial phase of the build-up. Not afraid going back right now. That's another 20 seconds. And forcing the opponents to chase to a certain extent or come out of their shell, and then you go after them. And Scolari's team's in two thoughts. Shall we press and take gambles here? I think around the 70th, 75th minute, Phil, you have to gamble. You have to roll the dice if you're Scolari.
And again, Terán still available on the bench. Threaded forward, good step up by Thiago Heleno.
But then they have to go backwards too, Phil, because there's not enough numbers in forward positions, unfortunately. And again, Roque just on an island. Now it becomes easy for David Luiz and Leo Pereira.
Nice as Pedro froze the back line, allowing Gabigol to go through. However, it carried Bento quick off his line to clear. Now they will bring Pablo on, another one of those wily players. This is a bit interesting. Not much left in the tank for Vitor Roque, and this will be a different look. Pablo, again, more similar to Pedro, where he will fill a position, make the moves, look for a few openings. He's not going to slam into the center backs.
No, great height, though. And again, Felipe Scolari's going, we just need 4 or 5 set pieces, and we might have a chance.
Out comes Bento again.
That's where Pablo comes in. 6'1", former Sao Paulo. Scored, by the way, against Palmeiras in the semi-final as well. 30 years.
Knotted down. Canobio scrambling, keeps it alive. Fernandinho. Foot race on the far flank. Fernandinho sweeping in to try and dispossess Ayrton, and maybe gets a bit of a veteran call.
And that's smart. Because Canobio and Pablo, big bodies. You throw the 2 center backs in there, all of a sudden there's a height advantage here, and that's what Scolari is banking on.
Oh, launched into the 6. Remember watching Canobio's dad play back in the day. Ball deflected away by Rodney. Very wily player, more of a provider than a finisher, but dangerous out wide or as a striker. Well, he's kind of playing that similar position. Canobio might even be, Agustin that is, a better goal scorer than his dad. Although a long way to go for the 24-year-old to catch up in the CV department.
And some good defending there, Phil.
Not the earlier clip that Mateus might have gotten away from. And there, Gabigol, you could see not a cramp, a scream of celebration. How often do you see a forward do that? Trying to settle it. Rascaeta goes in hard. Play on, says the ref. There might be something coming through the middle, but too far for Fernandinho. Maybe at 27, but not 37. However, Rascaeta is going to get a little something for this collision with Hugo Moura.
Yeah, and Romelu, the guy that just came off the bench, Phil, if he just treads the ball with a little bit less weight, you're absolutely right. Fernandinho is in. There's a huge lane that opened up all of a sudden, that a better passer would put Fernandinho. There's that 50-50, and I'm telling you, that's
Cleats out.
Absolutely.
But a little sympathy from the ref. Starting to sense, and this is why I was saying, are they taking their foot off the pedal too much? Starting to sense Paranaense get back in this game, even a man down. Fernandinho sending it wide. Kelvin down the line, opening for Canobio. Drawing Pereira out. Agustin to the 18. Poked away, throw in Kelvin.
Here we go again.
They have been dangerous on these set plays.
Just want to make it uncomfortable.
Pablo.
First, second balls, be aggressive.
A little more height than Vitor Roque. Kelvin with a long throw, looking for Thiago. He's gotten rid of the bandage, or the head wrap, just has that bandage on his brow right now. He's ready for battle. They have another corner coming in. Starting to sense, maybe not the fans, but the players sensing this one tilting back. Approaching the 70th minute. Dropping on his line, Santos. Cleared away near side. Mora, the ex-Flamengo player. Early ball in. Diving header to get it out of danger. And now it's Everton the other way.
And that becomes the danger, Phil. The counter of Flamengo.
They do get 5 bodies back at the moment, but can they find that in the tank for the next 20 minutes? Dorival saying, come on, let's go. Give your teammates some passes. And now Paranaense retreats to catch their breath a bit.
And it becomes very hard, Phil. That's like intense interval training.
Suicides.
They are. And Flamengo hopes that by 75, 80 minutes, 4 guys will basically drop, or the intensity goes down to 70. Boom. And that's where they can go for the second goal. Almost feels that way, that they're trying to force this team to do a lot of running with 1 man less.
And again, those passes, not moving the ball, they're moving the defense. Ball in for Maya. Pops up on Everton, pulls it back out. Let's try it again. Rodney, Everton through the legs, looking for Rodney, but good recovery by Romulo. A little scoop back to the youngster. Down the line, and a chance for Canobio near side.
But
acres of space on the other side.
When they won the ball, 6 white jerseys were walking just for about 15 seconds before they get into a trot. Physicality and legs are going to go, which might be hard. And you know what? Dorival is saying, I'm not happy with the attitude right now of my team. I need a leader out there to just shake things up, because yeah, they're at 1-0.
Thiago Maia did well for this game, but again, credit to Rodolfo Landim going out and getting an Arturo Vidal. Think back. I mean, you can say there are better players. You can say there's more skillful. You can say maybe even harder men, but not sure there's a bigger heart. And all you have to do is look at all of the things his teams have won through the years.
Yeah. And played quite a few minutes. Is just coming back from an injury right now. And if you look down that spine of Dorival's Flamengo, there's a lot of experience. There's a lot of winners, by the way. That includes David Luiz, obviously. And
Diego.
Yes, and now you add Vidal to that picture as well. With a man up, he should have a little bit more time and space to keep the ball moving, and he'll help you breaking up plays and also keeping his teammates honest. It almost felt like they're on cruise control at 1-0. I don't care. A man up. Game is not out of reach for Scolari's team.
And now, even a little further down the line at the age of 35, he still knows how to be that trailing run in the box. Mateus impeded by Pedro. But more time ticks away. Made it all the way to the 2005 Copa Libertadores final, did Paranaense, only to fall to Sao Paulo. They have never been as close as they are here. Romulo trying to catch up, but he catches Leo Pereira instead, and a caution against the youngster.
Yeah, late tackle. And actually, talk about tackle, David Luiz very smartly knows he's late, bails out of a tackle that potentially with contact. There goes David Luiz, not want to make that contact in order to avoid a free kick or potentially a penalty as well. And then that's what happens when you chase the game. You come on as a sub. You've got so much energy, Phil. You want to make a difference. And then the difference become free kick and allowing. There's that little through ball. And they can strike at any time, Flamengo. They know that. The opponent knows this as well.
And David Terán's about to check into the match. The final joker in Felipão's deck.
Another one that scored some huge goals in order for them to get to the finals.
And helped set up that goal by Pablo as well. Who will be checking out. Will they take out the veteran Fernandinho? Do they roll the dice even more and take out Hugo Mora?
It's got to be one of those two.
Could conceivably pull out a wing back.
Yes, because you can go to 3. You play 3 versus 2 against Barbosa and Pedro up front, so you could sacrifice a fullback, Phil. You're right. Alter your system a little bit.
Sloppy from Vidal as he gets stripped away by Pablo, but a gift right back the other way. Thiago Heleno puts his body in, and Vidal rakes the cleats. What color is it going to be? A yellow against the Chilean. And the big captain draws the foul and a free kick for Paranaense.
Yeah, the big captain is saying, come on, my first foul, but poor turnover by Vidal initially, and then he had to catch up a little bit and felt, okay, let me foul here. There he comes in late. There's not much there, but still enough for a yellow card, no doubt.
He pulled back at the last moment, or it might have been worse. Peran's checking in. It will be Hugo Mora. So Fernandinho, the 37-year-old veteran, the only holding midfielder out there. And the 2 youngsters, Kelvin and Abner, will continue to patrol the flanks.
Yeah, you play 1v1 in the back with Felipe and Heleno. Push Abner and Kelvin into midfield, your right field, and you gamble.
Peran's the 28-year-old Uruguayan coming over from Athletico Mineiro. Scooped forward, 2v1 if they hurry. Gabigol spots Pedro, can't get it, blocked away by Mateus. Vidal first to the loose ball, and Everton smartly takes it out of the fire. Earlier ball from Gabi could have led to goal number 2. Good thinking by Mateus to block the pass.
And if you don't kill off this game, Phil, you keep your opponent in this game that could strike, not at any time, but will have 1 or 2 decent looks probably through, in particular, set pieces. The lines are getting up more. They're taking risk in the back, which means they're vulnerable in the counter. But so far, so good with 10 men by not conceding that second goal and giving themselves a chance.
Pablo holds on, smashed away by Pereira. Appeals for a handball right on the edge of the area, but play continues. Rival on the edge of his area, ready to celebrate. Mentioned he's won 6 state crowns, looking for his first Copa Lib. Thiago Heleno clears it away, bouncing towards the flag, but he surrenders. Now he's just taking the bandage off as well. Doesn't want anything impeding him the rest of the way.
And the final ball has really let Flamengo down today, Phil. You can say the only great ball is on the goal in that first half, and a potential through ball that Bento had to deal with in a 1v1, but the prolific foursome going forward kept at bay by a very stoic and hard defending opponent.
Ball whipped in, skips away off Mateus, slammed back upfield, but right back to Mengao. Everton, delicate touch. Center back driving in, now cleared away and out into touch.
And it's very tough for Scolari to keep some semblance with 10 men, with quite a few subs, all 5 subs being used to keep your organization on both sides of the ball. But they hung in there, Phil.
Giving chase Heleno. Rascaeta tracking it down.
Such a warrior.
Every good club needs one. And in his own way, David Luiz provides that from a leadership capacity. Although full credit to Leo Pereira, who has done well as a deputy to Luiz's sheriff.
No doubt, hasn't put a foot wrong, quite frankly, and has cleaned up a few mistakes early on by David Luiz, where he was very quick to react as well. That's a good duo there, good chemistry between those two.
Ball slammed away by Pereira again. Falls for Pedro. Burst of speed to try and push. Now threaded forward for Everton, asking a lot early. One-touch pass. A better weighted ball might have given him a chance to do something. Good work by Rodney, but impeded on the clearance. Dorival not happy, going to the bench to bark. Matricino available, another right back. Don't know if they would make a switch, but maybe to give extra cover. He still has 3 substitutions to burn and 10 minutes to do so.
Yeah, he's really frustrated with the final ball in the final third. You just talked about it, too heavy by Pedro. That should have been an easy layoff.
In for Vidal. Thiago Heleno steps up. That puts Gabi offside. Out wide for Everton, and again nothing there, so he'll pull it back out as the clock continues to tick. Spots the run of Rodney into the 18. A little slip off Heleno, diving header, but De Rascaeta denied, and he cramps in the process. So now it's 10 on 10. Canobio tries to flip it through, but denied.
You got to feel that Dorival has got his subs warming up right now.
A little lunging tackle by Thiago Heleno, equaled by Vidal, and Flamengo gets it back with 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, small little things, but it was a huge tackle for Vidal to make sure the counter wasn't on, and allowing his team again now within possession to chew off some seconds and minutes of this clock.
And you see a substitute on the sideline getting set to check in. Again, mentioned that Rascaeta doesn't have much left. Looks like Fabricio might be the next to check in. Out wide as Paranaense gets it back. Romulo, the 20-year-old. Back for Terans, the Uruguayan, into the attack. He can deliver a good ball. Bobbled. Canobio bundled over from behind. The referee and the assistant see nothing. They're whirring the video replay. Canobio might have gone down a little easy.
And if I'm correct, Lucas is the one that really puts his body in there, which is just great defending. There's nothing there. Not sure if it was Leo Pereira or Lucas, but that rebound was destined to fall for
Santos giving up a chance. The ex-Athletico Paranaense netminder looking for his first crown. Now they'll take a look at the VAR.
Yeah, Paranaense is really complaining about this, and he can see it again. Good ball in with that left foot.
Terán, such a dangerous passer.
Yeah. Tough ball too, and I'm telling you, that's just good defending by Lucas, if I'm correct. Yeah.
Hip to hip.
Yep. There's nothing there, Phil. I'll be shocked, seriously. I'll then go back to coaching. You can do both. But she's very
Gabigol
smart.
says he's done.
As she said, hip to hip.
Marinho available on the bench if they wish. Diego as well, the young, or once young phenom Everton. And it looks like VAR agrees.
And
so play on.
They're going short. There's only 2 guys in the box. Yeah, they're just going to go for possession. Amazing.
Long ball over to Rodney. Everton, but it just sails high. And Flamengo will use that as a chance to make 2 switches, and it is Everton. Sabajita ready to check in, and the other player who is entering is Victor Hugo.
Yeah, Barbosa's day done, and could be the difference in this game with his goal. Gabigol, huge again.
There, Victor Hugo checking in. Flamengo through and through. The 18-year-old joined at the age of 12. Meanwhile, Everton Suarez, the other player who entered, could have been a foul, and it looks like it will be. Very promising player with Grêmio, but did not quite connect at Benfica, and picked up by Flamengo. So let's see what he can do.
And Tehran's making an immediate impact with the ball in, Phil, that almost led to a rebound goal. Now the penetration, the foul was not much there, but enough for the referee, and to put this team only 1-0 down. The 85th minute to curl another ball in.
Lifted by Tehran's.
Oh.
Pablo got up, but could not guide it towards goal.
Good look as well. Phil got in between two defenders, jumped a little bit early, timed it much better, and right there is above the defender. If you can get that in target, Phil, that's, I'm not saying a goal, but becomes very hard. Although Leo Pereira puts a little body on him, maybe enough just to throw him off, but that's a good look. Great service as well.
Gabriel Barbosa's goal deep in added time of the first half, the difference. One thing we don't really talk about with the extra substitutes, now up to 5, that does add a little bit of added time, but I can't imagine much more than 4 at the moment. So less than 10 minutes remain for Athletico Paranaense to get back into this one. Now this goes out for a throw. A little surprised Flamengo backing off. They could put some pressure on.
I'm also surprised that Flamengo is trying to get into the corner with 5+ left in his game, probably 8-9 minutes to kill this game. I'm really surprised at how passive they've been in the second half.
Canobio giving chase. It's a one-man press for now. The old man Fernandinho steps up, but how much is left in the tank?
He's still chasing.
Good work by Canobio defensively. They need to get the ball back to give him a chance to do what he's paid to do. Now Vidal. Prodne with Dorival moving the chess pieces around. Will one be enough? Athletico Paranaense feeling a little lonely at the moment. Almost lunging forward was Pedro to connect, but it flashes past his boot. Stretching on the sideline, the Rascaeta, as he is now a spectator. Banging into Turan, trying to send a message. Referee just with a talking to. Back to Tehran's. And you can see Dorival gesturing furiously. He knows what the Uruguayan can do. 88th minute. Kelvin. No time for trickery. Got to keep the ball moving. Instead, dispossessed, and then tracks back to put out his own fire. Fernandinho, the old man, showing how it's done. Everton trying to pull away. David Tehran's brought down. To the near side, nice by Abner. Abner across, diving header by David Luiz.
And David Luiz with a shaky start for 10 minutes, Phil, has been a rock again, and another opportunity this time for Abner to go with a long throw. Interesting, we'll talk to here.
Pablo getting a talking to. So Thomas Cuello on the sideline can't get into this match, so he's just going to be a ball boy for Athletico. Throw in for Fernandinho. High into the air. Eleno and Luis headed clear by João Gomes.
Very often they've been able to flick the ball on, Phil, and get it into crowded areas.
Bento back to the top of the 18, nodded wide by Romulo. Here's Terans. Cuts back through a double team. Dribbles past Vidal, and he's brought down. A free kick just outside the 18. Good work by Terans.
And if this scoreline stays, Scolari is going to really question himself about the sub in the first half and why it took so long to put the Uruguayan, a difference maker, in Terans on so late, Phil. Because he's the only one really off the dribble that can break people down. They became really Route 1 bigger bodies with Scolari's interest really to get back in this game.
Well, you think about it. Vitor Bueno, Vitinho, Hugo Mora, Victor Roque, the players that were pulled. Canobio, Romulo, Terans, and Pablo have all been more effective in limited time.
Yep.
90th minute. And I would imagine 3, maybe 4. A very generous 5. Let's see. Free kick from about 30 yards on an angle.
And Terans is going to go for it.
Whipping it to the near post and catching it in midair with Santos. That one had some steam on it.
It certainly did. Not enough steam, Phil, to really cause any problems for Santos. Reads that quite well.
And uses his gloves to catch the ball. Now in the modern game, how often do you see goalkeepers just punch it? But by maintaining possession, more time off the clock. Back to Leo Pereira. 5 minutes added. So about as generous as it could have been. Off to the near side, Grodny. A little give and go into the area. Abner trying to get back and does so in time to deny Victor Hugo.
And Abner just telling their fans, let's go.
Just listen to the Flamengo fans ready to cheer and celebrate. The Copa Libertadores trophy already at midfield. Will they be able to add one more to the case?
And the scoreline in a few months or even a few weeks, it doesn't matter, Phil. 1-0, 4-0.
Ball back for Everton. For Vidal, tease it, passes, Pedro, and wouldn't that have been a perfect time for number 13? Quickly back out though. Bento taking advantage. Abner sending it long. Pablo clattered to the ground. Fernandinho with the stage hook. And here, Everton putting it on the doorstep.
And you can't draw this one up better. A lot of times after practice, guys do a little combination play out wide and then play balls in for strikers to finish, you know. Normally the backup goalkeeper's in there who's going to grab the ball at the back of the net, but that seemed like out of, not the playground, but what you practice day in, day out. Early cross, hard run back post, almost impossible to defend. Good execution, one of the few and only good executions by Flamengo on the day, who really didn't play up to their level. Give Athletico Paranaense a lot of credit too, Phil.
Well, before this match, the fans were serenaded with a song commemorating their 1981 Intercontinental Cup win over that legendary Liverpool side. Their only world title. They'll get another crack with this Libertadores, a ticket to the Club World Cup.
This time it will be Real Madrid.
Tears of joy for the Mengal faithful. Again, Zico was on that team and taking on a team guided by Bob Paisley that had the likes of Dalglish and Souness, and they pounded them 3-0. That's how good Zico was.
And although Flamengo underperformed today, Phil, if I look at this team, top to bottom, they have a chance to beat anybody in Europe.
Well, they have some veterans that know what it takes and some youngsters that will be there before too long. Final minute approaches.
A shame that we really didn't see Roque at its best since Flamengo went the man down. He never was able to get in this game, but that 17-year-old, talking about talent, will go to Europe sooner or later.
Pass from Abner into the 18 and almost brought down by Romulo. David Luiz doing just enough.
Yeah, enough, but it skips past him, and the Romulo just can't get onto it. Good ball.
Arturo Vidal sending it wide. Dribbling through the area, now swept away by Fernandinho. One last crack to look for an equalizer and force extra time. Flipped on by Romulo.
Some good defending by Pereira there.
Across midfield, Everton, and the final whistle from Patricio Lustau. Flamengo holds on for its third Copa Libertadores crown. The first half added time goal from Gabigol, the difference in this one. It was the red card that rewrote the script, and a first half thriller from Everton to Barbosa. But you can see the emotions on the field. Flamengo champions, and for Paranaense, one step short yet again.
I'm telling you, Brazilian dominance just continues. Fourth consecutive season, the big prize goes to a Brazilian team and Flamengo. And you know what, Phil? If you look at day one of the Copa Libertadores all the way here, they are the most deserving team to win this one. They're third, by the way. And third time is a charm for Dorival as well. His third stint with his team, coming back from the cancer scare as well. That's a brilliant storyline too. And on the other hand, the wily veteran that would have loved to left with a title, a first title for his club, Felipe Scolari, will second guess himself on some of the decisions he made during the course of this game.
Canobio chatting with his compatriots, thinking about what might have been. Also talked about some of the controversial matches his father refereed. You cannot really blame Patricio Lustau. Sometimes you can point a finger at a referee and say it was an undeserved red and it changed the game, but it was a reckless decision by Pedro Henrique, and in all honesty, the referee did not have a choice.
He didn't. No, initially I said it was a soft yellow. When I saw the replay, my eye is not that sharp anymore. It's definitely a yellow card, which means a second one and the red card, the right decision, which changed the course of this game to a certain extent. But Athletico always came with a defensive mindset anyway. It became more defensive with the men down in that second half, and not substituting after that red card cost Felipe Scolari this game, in my opinion.
Well, Flamengo started this Brazilian run by knocking off the defending champions River Plate back in 2019. Now, after 2 seasons of Palmeiras dominance, it is Flamengo back in the title podium. The Cebolinha there, Everton Suarez, and maybe he has something to look forward to again with that Club World Cup. But for Flamengo, what a job that continues.
12 wins, 1 draw, no losses in the Copa Libertadores this year for Flamengo. Well deserved, Phil.
And Dorival Jr. was given an assignment. Mission accomplished. Flamengo 1, Athletico Paranaense 0. Celebrations from Gabriel Barbosa. It was Pedro who drew much of the attention leading up to today's final. But Gabigol showing he's still the danger man as well.
And talk about Gabigol, scored in last year's final as well, and they came up short. How sweet it is for Gabigol today to score the winner.
Arturo Vidal, who says that this doesn't mean anything. You can talk about the money, you can talk about the accolades, but in many ways it still comes down to boys playing a game.
It certainly is, Phil. I mean, even Everton coming in late off the bench. It's such a deep squad. Everton, Ribeiro, Pedro, Barbosa. But give David Luiz, Leo Pereira and Santos a lot of credit as well, Phil. They don't concede a lot, this team. They score a lot, but they don't concede. And there you see their captain, David Luiz. Experienced youth and difference makers in this squad. In saying that, Scolari has orchestrated such a brilliant run for this team as well. Falls short, you feel for him. Decisions not going his way. And he'll second guess himself, Phil, going forward. And that might drive him actually to come back and give it another shot at 73. That's the way we tick, coaches.
There you see Fernandinho and David Luiz, two veterans of the wars over years. Fernandinho 53 caps, David Luiz 57. Time throughout Europe as well, and still suiting up.
Hey, look at some of these guys that have played in Europe and are coming back. And if you talk about big trophies, I still think they put the World Cup there. But then the Copa Libertadores for David Luiz, a Felipe Luiz, by the way. Even a Pedro that's played in Europe. And off the bench, obviously, Arturo Vidal. They probably say this is the biggest trophy on our continent. And they're adding to their trophy case as a club and also as individuals, leaving a real mark on football worldwide with one of the biggest clubs, in my opinion, throughout the world.
Felipe Luiz out celebrating, and
Dorival, why not?
Who would have thought it would have been an injury to Felipe Luiz that might have turned this game around?
Yeah, I know that Barbosa, Gabigol got the MVP, but Lucas, that came in fully injured. Felipe Luiz was the one that really caused problems and led eventually to a foul by Henrique that cost him his second, or got him his second yellow, which turned into a red. And the wheels came off a little bit. And I'm sure if you're Athletico Paranaense, you look at this and say, oh, we had 3 half chances, or actually 1 good chance. And then the 2 half chances, Remy Santana hitting a ball just over the bar, Phil. Vitinho coming inside and being able to force a Santos save as well. But, and should have Terans been on there earlier, Phil.
He's tended to be a later sub throughout the run to the final, but as we saw what he was able to do when he got out there, even a couple more minutes might have made the difference. In many ways, this was the expected result. But for Athletico Paranaense, they will be left thinking, what if? Does not sour the taste for Mengao, however. What a season it has been for Drascaeta, for Pedro, for Barbosa and company. And again, it's not done yet. Still 4 rounds left to go in the Brasileirão. The Club World Cup looming as well.
And the dominance by Brazilian football in the last 4 years, that's a cause of concern at the other corners of South America.
Emotional end for Flamengo. This legendary club that goes back more than a century, back into the 1800s.
Wow.
However, they have been a dominant force in Carioca football, a dominant force in Brazilian football, and maybe, just maybe, ready to crown themselves again on the international stage.
Yeah,
Full credit to Dorival for stepping into a difficult situation after the departure of Paulo Sousa, but he kept things calm. And you take a look at the veteran Thiago Heleno and what's going on through his mind. He might never get another chance.
He might. And what a brave and correctly so captain has to comment with bandages, is bleeding, and continues to lead his team. Yeah, that hurts, Phil.
And now handing out the trophies. This for the Golden Boot, 12 goals in 13 games. The star of the tournament.
Is he World Cup bound, Phil Shane?
I don't know how Tite can keep him off, especially with 3 extra spots. He's a guy that plays differently than many of the others. Of course, Gabriel Jesus re-emerging to form as well. But again, a player that has so much to offer. 1-0 Flamengo, the champions. Pedro celebrates with a tournament MVP. Well, the awards presentation continues. Everton Ribeiro making his way out onto the podium.
Such class, so smooth, and he's the one that plays that early ball, Phil, that allows Barbosa to tuck it away. If it's not of the invention, the creativity, the understanding to play that early ball, it might be still 0-0, and we might be to overtime.
Went to the Middle East to play for Al Ahly. Normally a sign of the end of a career, but Flamengo saw something, brought him back. He's been capped now 21 times. And now Gabriel Barbosa coming out. There you see the heads of the various federations that are part of this CONMEBOL Confederation. It was Gabriel Barbosa's goal yet again that makes the difference. So vital back in that 2019 run. Seemed to be pushed to the side a bit with the emergence of Pedro, but popped up on the day with the only goal of the match. And we were talking about this during the break. Will it be this goal that puts him on the World Cup roster? Will it be the 12 goals that has Pedro on the roster? Or will both of them just be on the wrong side of that line? We'll talk a little bit more about it on this day that Flamengo celebrates its 3rd Libertadores crown. It is the runner-up medal for the 2nd time for Athletico Paranaense. This was a dream too far.
Winning the Sudamericana last year, they really put themselves on the map, Phil. This greenest city, maybe in South America, very forward thinking, and you talked about it. Curitiba really left a mark this year in Brazil. Great run, tough to play against. Scolari football, and that sums it up. Devastated by this 1-0 loss.
And again, wondering, maybe making those offensive substitutions a hair later or hair earlier, the defensive substitution after the red card. And there, as you see, not a bad day's work. I think Rodolfo Landim might just roll that one right back into the club.
And they've done an excellent job in doing that, Phil. One of the reasons why they've been so dominant. You get the experience, but you also get some real young breakout stars for this club. One of the biggest clubs, is it again, of Rio de Janeiro. Maybe the biggest of the big 4 there. And interesting that both cities culturally also reflect playing style as well, Phil. Very flamboyant, obviously, samba-like flair with the winners, Flamengo.
Dorival Jr., job done.
Yeah, brilliant. This coaching staff. I leaned on my assistant coaches very often. Dorival's third stint at the club, third title for the club as well. How appropriate for a guy that battled cancer and came back. And they are the best team in South America.
Now the staff getting its reward, and if you talk to players and coaches, even more so in the modern game, it is a true team effort all the way down to the backroom staff.
Believe me, the equipment manager will get a medal, Phil Shane, and correctly so.
And probably get a cut of that award check. Smile from Dorival. Well, we were talking about this in regards to another battle that now looms between Gabriel Barbosa and his teammate Pedro. Tite looking in here today. Pedro maybe a little limited. Gabriel Barbosa getting it done when it counted.
And what a agonizing losing last year, getting injured, sitting on the sideline, and still for his team to win. And we're talking obviously about the left back, Felipe Luis. Well done. Vidal getting a medal. I don't think they'll take Pedro and Barbosa, but one of the two.
And you know what?
Should make it.
If there was a guy who burst onto the scene maybe today, it might even be Ertan Lucas, the loanee from Spartak, as they are looking for a man to finally step up in the shadow of Felipe Luis, but we'll find out.
Pedro, to me, just has different characteristics to all the great forwards that TJ can roll out. We just looked at him, Phil.
If Richarlison is healthy, you obviously have Neymar. You have the wingers in like an Anthony, Rafinha, Vinicius. Roberto Firmino, maybe not quite at the top of the pecking order, but he also comes with a unique skill set.
Yep.
And Rodrigo bursting on the scene. Martinelli now has to be considered. Flamengo, the champions.
Well done. In finals, one-offs are always tough ones. Rarely do you see 5-4 score lines, but the way they went about doing their business in the Copa Libertadores this year, no losses, Phil, only one draw, 33 goals, by the way. That's dominating and crowned correctly the champions.
Fans ready to watch the trophy lifted, the players in position.
And not inexpensive to fly nowadays across a continent, which they did obviously to get to Ecuador. They're talking about $2,000-3,000. These are committed fans that. And there's Arturo Vidal. Played a few minutes, yellow card.
The trophies on the floor, the medals around their neck. Everton Ribeiro shepherding it over. Good look at Diego Alves as well, who was part of the celebration in 2019 and now lifted into the air with Diego. The Copa Libertadores belongs to Flamengo yet again. What a job putting together this team. There will probably be a few changes gearing up before the next Libertadores final. Will Pedro depart? And if so, how will that be reinvested? The likes of Everton and Arturo Vidal and David Luiz and Felipe Luis, can they continue? Well, I think Ayrton Lucas, if they can work out a deal with Spartak, has shown that he can fill some of that absence. They did pick up Everton Suarez as well. It's a legendary team that seems to keep adding chapters to its history book.
And they will continue to do that. They're a well-run club, Phil. And they will use that big check that we just looked at to reinvest into the club. And most Brazilian teams are just great in developing incredible talent that not only go on for their clubs, but eventually play in Europe.
Thiago Maia, who did the thankless job of shutting down the attack. Arturo Vidal stepped in when he tired.
And then Rodine on that right side, quiet, but a tremendous job. João Gomes, another one that goes about doing his business, and all these little pieces leads to this right here, Phil, winning a trophy.
Marinho taking it out to the sideline to celebrate with the fans. And again, Flamengo fans like none other. I'm not sure there is a more rabid or passionate fan base than Flamengo's. They're definitely on the podium.
Yeah, I've seen Flamengo in some brilliant local derbies in the Maracanã, which is their stadium, their home side. This time they do it on the road with a large contingent of traveling fans as well. Look at that, Phil. Brilliant moment to be part of that as a club player, but also for the fan base. Huge.
And in some ways as well, after the last 2 seasons, a breath of fresh air to be able to celebrate in the fresh air. Jorge Andrascaeta, he'll be wearing the sky blue of Uruguay in a couple weeks' time. But now he'll go in with one more trophy in the case. Photos to remember.
Santos with another clean sheet today as well. We talked about that central pairing of the experienced David Luiz and the hard-nosed Leo Pereira. Everybody gets a chance to lift that one, Phil. I've only won an MLS Cup, which isn't even close to this, but there's no better feeling than hosting a trophy after a year of hard work and finally pays off. It's joy, but also relief for a coach more so. The players love it. Yeah.
And the fans as well. Diego Alves down near the tail end of his illustrious career. And that is also part of the Flamengo equation. Respecting the past, but always an eye towards the future. It was a matchup that promised a lot. The red card changed the scenario. Gabriel was able to change the ending, and Flamengo champions yet again.